at least Hello Future Me is not a blind shill. He's fairly positive.
That's okay.
He's not. He's optimistic, but he does point out that there are some major red flags with this one.
Okay, well, let's get going. Good evening, folks. Welcome to Smudcast what number are we at? 490. Is there any hope for Amazon's Lord of the Rings show?
And no, can we go home?
No, yeah.
That's it. Well,
this is going to be complete trash.
See you in Smudcast 491.
Yeah, well, that's the short end of the TLDR, or did watch, rather. So we're going to try and get through this Hello Future Me video. It's about 17 and a half minutes long. It came out recently, so maybe he's got some new insight, got some new observations. We don't know for sure, but we pretty much can guess it's not going to turn out as anything close to the movies turned out. We all know it's all inspiration from a poem. And there's a lot of blanks to fill in from the showrunners, and who knows what they're going to do. So
the showrunners are a pair of staff writers.
Oh, that's not the most encouraging thing.
Literally,
can you define for us what a staff writer is?
They are basically uncredited script doctors, and the only thing that they are semi-credited on IMDb is Star Trek Beyond.
Wow.
That is the only thing they have. They have technically been working in the industry for, as far as I know, they have been working in the industry of script writing at least for 10 years, but the only thing they are credited on is uncredited staff writers. Just writers who just kind of like help out with the writing, like maybe doctor the script, help out with that sort of thing.
Right.
And then you go bam from 0 to 200 to Lord of the Rings, one of the biggest and most important cultural treasures humanity has.
Yeah.
And apparently they're doing a Flash Gordon thing in the future, so
that could work. That actually is more probably up their alley. If you go to staff writers in general, like for websites or magazines, they just do common news stories. So whatever.
Another male icon to tear down.
Maybe they could. It could be anything. It could be sports. It could be the news. It could be current events. That's typically what they would do. I don't know what that is for in television though, or movies. So I couldn't tell you. But maybe it's like people who fill in the blanks for dialogue and this and that. It's possible. Anyway, let's get going. This is going to be fun, at least more fun than what I've been doing in the past hour. Here is the Swedish chef. Thanks for 2. No, there isn't. Next video. Okay, thanks for that heads up. We don't know yet, but we'll find out soon. And, of course, Vladimir Dragunov. Thanks for 2. No stream over. See you tomorrow. Okay, we get it. We get it. Everyone's of the same opinion, but we don't know yet for sure. Let us find out. Here we go.
All right, people, we need to talk. Amazon is producing a new Lord of the Rings series, The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. Because Jeff Bezos...
That's Auntie Sting, isn't it? It looked like it.
Bezos said, hey, we need everyone to know that this is just like the trilogy. Except worse, because apparently The Rings was the best that they could come up with, but like death, whether you like it or not, it's coming for you. And today, we're gonna go through all of the reasons that you're allowed to hate the show, and all of the dumb reasons to hate the show. So, this is level 1 seriousness, so we're starting with my Gilded Sting. But, tell me down below, what are you most frustrated or afraid about with the show? I know something came to mind, and what might you potentially look forward to the most?
It'll be worse
really
than
want
The
to see
Hobbit.
Numenor. Shoot me. This video is sponsored by Campfire, because
It'll
maybe
be worse
you
than
can
Shadow
write a
of War
better
before they took
story
out the
than Amazon.
microtransactions.
Oh, and if you didn't
What?
know, On Writing a World Building Volume 2 is out. It's got all of the writing and world building discussions we've had, and the series as a whole has sold nearly 50,000 copies. Go get
So
it.
is this guy a creative writing mentor?
He has written. He does writing advice videos. Some are okay. I don't know how good his book is.
Basically, his book is his video scripts.
Oh, interesting.
So he just when he wrote a script, just repurposed them all into various chapters of a book. I have a copy of his book, just so I can kind of have a thing to loan out to other people or codified bits of writing advice that I can easily flick through. But it's good stuff. A lot of it's fairly basic, but there's some neat and interesting things.
He's definitely leagues better than Red in regards to writing.
Oh yeah,
and comprehension.
Oh yeah, it's that some of Red videos are terrible, like her Lovecraft video, and her and the Mary Sue video, and
the fridging video.
Oh yeah, the fridging video.
And the love triangle video.
Oh god.
And the should I go on?
She has problems. That's all we know. Anyway, let's go back to the video.
Copy of today, links down below. Number 1. Amazon is a terrible company that mistreats its employees, and Jeff Bezos is a money-hoarding smug whose only way of showing love to his children is buying them another McDonald's franchise. And maybe you don't want to support Amazon's new ventures, and you know what?
Wait a second, slow down here. First off, I really don't care about the company making the thing. They're just the guys with the cash. If they make a good product, great, I'll give money to them. If they make a bad product, I won't. That's all I care about.
Producers have too much influence on the stuff. That is a problem. But we would have to know how much it is Amazon's active direction that turns it into shit.
Well, maybe.
They are the ones hiring the people that turn it into shit. Okay, there is some responsibility here. But I'm in general not too happy with them because.
This is a different argument, though, because they're just saying if the company does bad stuff or bad stuff in other areas, it's like you shouldn't give them money, therefore don't watch their entertainment. Which is like, okay. I mean, if you think... Yeah, if you think along those terms, fine, but I'm just a consumer. I don't really care about what they do in other ventures or how they treat their employees or what... this is irrelevant. If their product is good, I'll buy it. If it's bad, I won't. Like that's what it should come down to. It doesn't matter that Disney owns all of Marvel or is getting there. I don't care how big and evil they are. I don't care how big and evil Apple is or Microsoft. If I like your product, I'll buy it. I don't like your product, I won't buy it. That's it.
Yeah, the only correlation is that the bigger these companies are, the worse the products seem to get.
In some cases.
Because when they're so big, they don't need to care about the quality.
Yes.
They just shove more money in so that there are better special effects, and then they think, just look at Disney.
This is the problem.
Yeah, while a tiny company has to put heart and soul into it to be a product that feeds them the next week.
This is the problem I have with people arguing that the producers of a video game caused the downfall of the video game or the quality of the video game. When we say the Mass Effect series is bad because EA bought them or whatever, it's like, no. It's not because...
A lot of times it's the executives.
There's lots of reasons why a complicated production like a trilogy of RPGs fully voice acted and has multiple choices could cause some bad quality issues. That has nothing to do with the guys handing out the bucks to pay the salaries. That's not usually the case. Yes, EA is a big evil company. I get it. And you could have a direct connection between this scene and whatever happened that season and EA was firing people or whatever. Yeah, that's possible. But as a whole, no, they are hands off. And you could make the argument for parts of Hollywood, for certain studios, certain executives. Of course you can. But in most cases, it has nothing to do with the guys handing out the cash. It has to do with the creative control, who has it, whose vision is being followed, and how accurate is that vision. Anyway, here is BioCock Infinite. All right. I like that. That's cool. Oh boy, he's going to say, it's dumb for you to hate this show because there is going to be minorities in it, even though that's not what people are saying. No, I think he's just saying Amazon bad. It's totally valid to hate the show, which is not valid at all. That's kind of silly. Anyway,
Possibly. This could be a joke.
Yeah, these parts are. So he's just presenting this is a complaint people have,
yeah,
and then he's going to say his piece to it, whether he thinks that's valid or not.
exactly.
How I can get behind that. Or I won't because I'm going to watch the show anyway, but the principle's there. Number 2, you don't want or trust anyone with making any more Tolkien things. Maybe you don't trust the creatives behind the series whose greatest works before.
Are these guys brothers?
No, they just look very, very similar.
Maybe they're clones.
The noses are very close. The hairline is very close. Everything is very close.
Yeah, maybe all these SJW writers come out of VATs.
Either that, or it's a giant nepotism game.
Oh boy, they're third
I think they're all
removed,
related to each
fourth
other.
removed
and all
cousins. Yeah, who knows?
cousins.
Yeah. Oh boy,
Is the incest in Hollywood that big already by now?
mentally at least.
After 100 years?
Maybe not physically.
Well, I'm honestly of the opinion that the only way that these two got on the show was because they have a very, very, very high up uncle in Amazon. Because that is the only way I can think of to justify why these people are on here. Because they literally have done nothing.
Nepotism.
Yay.
Yeah.
Hey, let us get on Lord of the Rings, please, because it's this big thing, right? Let's make something with modern politics with it. That's a twist that nobody has ever seen. We are so brilliant.
And J.J. Abrams gave them a shout out.
Oh God.
All right. Well,
Mystery boxes.
I feel like I'm looking at a teen duo from like the '90s, like some sort of sitcom, and it's like the day in the life of these two guys.
Old. Oh yeah. It kind of looks like
25.
older. It looks like older Cole and Dylan Sprouse. Honestly,
Oh.
The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Let's give the one of the biggest cultural treasures of humanity to some bloody beginners.
Well,
Yeah.
there have been worse scenarios happening in the world of entertainment. So, here is the Giga Chad. Hey, thanks, Giga Chad. God looked at one of those niggas and hit Control C and Control
Careful with that
V.
word now.
I know. I did it phonetically. I did it very phonetically. Hit Control C and Control V. Listen, I do hate Amazon as a company, but that's not at all why I know I'm going to hate their Lord of the Rings show. I think we all know why we're going to hate this show. So
Yeah, it's gonna be a unique form of bad.
Everything is wrong.
yeah.
It'll be like Wheel of Time, just
Do the-
worse.
Cue the Ren and Stimpy song. Cue the Ren and Stimpy song here.
It's kind of like the Wheel of Time, but everyone knows the lore and goes, "Oh my god!" It's like looking at your.
It's actually got an entrenched
No,
fan
Smart,
base
Smart.
who is rioting against this.
Smart. Nobody knows Numenor.
Oh, they don't.
That's like the 30 hardcore Lord of the Rings fans.
Nobody knows the trouble I see.
There's some hefty backlash against this from a lot
Yes, of course.
places.
Yes, of course. But even of all the people who read and loved Lord of the Rings and maybe even read The Hobbit when they were kids 30 years ago and earlier, the fewest have read the Silmarillion.
Even someone like me who's
That's a
only played the
subset.
two, even someone like me who's only played the Middle Earth games can tell you how many inconsistencies there are to actual Tolkien. And that's saying a lot.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. The people who know the lore pre The Hobbit are very, very few. There's a subset of the fans that is the deeper fans. That is, people won't care.
depends.
When normal people see the black female beardless dwarf princess, they won't know what's wrong with that.
See, say what you want about the Middle Earth games. At least Monolith tried to be as consistent as they could.
At least it's cool.
At least the actual games are good. The gameplay. And again, it's like they from the outset they were their own thing anyway. They didn't try to bullshit anyone like Rings of Power is doing.
Yeah, and like they tried to make it cool, which is like, even though like you become a Nazgul, your main character becomes the Nazgul at the end. It's like,
I mean, yeah, that is a
okay,
problem.
that's
But
BS, but it's kind of awesome too.
yeah, it's a 50-50 kind of thing with those kinds of changes. But
Yeah.
obviously, but
I mean,
again,
just
but again,
cool
those
fan
games.
fiction. You can see those games as fan fiction, as
They are fan fiction.
yeah, and you can make good high quality fan fiction. Yes, that is possible, but that's different from and games are forgettable and in that sense, or forgivable rather. But a
Story
TV
medium
show,
is
a
rougher.
movie, and the first of its kind that tackles this part of an established lore, that is something different because that is supposed to be something truly timeless.
Definitely.
We're not gonna redo the Lord of the Rings prequel lore, whatever stuff in 20 years again with $20 million per episode or more. It's not gonna happen.
They might. Are you
No,
making
not in a good
everything?
way.
Fair enough. I was just going to say, like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is being remade as a drama series.
Nobody gives a shit about
I
Prince
know.
of Bel-Air.
No, but that's like the barrel that they're scraping.
No, Dunn. Nobody fucking compares the Prince of Bel-Air with the Lord of the Rings.
I'm just saying that it's
Like
ridiculous.
it's like you're telling
that
me
they're
we remake the Star Wars movies. Oh wait, damn.
All right, let's keep going.
Or this uncredited writing role in Star Trek Beyond, picked because of their
Vision aligning with Amazon's?
yeah, that's not enough for a lot of people. You just think the man died in 1973 and you've
Yeah,
had
but that
one
tells
great
us what the vision
adaptation.
of Amazon
Why
is.
do we need any more? Especially because they don't even have the rights to most of what they're trying to adapt. I mean, they don't even have the rights to the Silmarillion, and I can get why it feels like someone puppeting a corpse. It's uncomfortable to watch, and it's only a mimicry of the real living thing. So I get that, and sometimes I see people mocking others who feel this way because they go, because an adaptation of a thing I like prevents me from enjoying the original, but I think this is dumb because nobody thinks it's going to ruin their enjoyment.
No. I'm sorry. That is a thing. That is a completely normal psychological effect because your brain saves this up in the same realm where it saves those other things because your brain builds associations. So if you have some shitty thing in and you know beforehand that it's gonna be shit, and then somebody even forces you to watch it, it does tarnish the original thing, because when you rewatch the original thing, you may have to actively suppress the memories that come up of the horrible new thing that they made and that they deliberately made shit.
Yeah, it's like the legacy of something is suddenly brought into question because, well, we saw with Bebop in December, like everyone knew it was never going to live up to the original. But everyone was curious what they were going to do. Was it going to be something new? Were they going to do a different spin? Were they going to make a live action that everyone can go, oh, okay, yeah, I mean, you couldn't do that with an animation, so you have to do live action. I understand. So your standards automatically go down, but you accept that because it's like, how else would you do it? How else could you get people to act out a guy flying a spaceship and jumping out into space and using a bullet to propel himself through space? Like, how do you do? Like, it makes no sense. So it's like they got to do something practical and realistic. So, but we never got that. We just got a Spike that was not Spike, and we got a series of filler episodes which had nothing to do with the show.
Yeah, and in general, the writing's just bad, and it
Yeah.
does the effect of this tarnishing, of this defilement, is different from medium to medium, and different from person to person and from what is important to you to what don't you care about.
Yeah.
If they now announce a Dune cartoon wait, let me finish. So this is where you get your hopes up.
Yeah.
But if they announce a Dune cartoon, And then they show us a trailer how they make it in the style of Thundercats Roar.
Oh, ew! That would be terrible. That would be horrible.
But it is atrocious enough on just the idea is atrocious enough to easier dismiss it as just too much garbage. This Lord of the Rings show, just like the Wheel of Time show, is close enough in trying to be like the real thing, but completely twisted at the same time.
Yeah.
That it keeps the associations alive.
I think it's the creative take that's twisted. It's trying to be the thing, and then you just go, wait, that's not even close to the thing when you look at it.
Because in visually they still try to emulate the Peter Jackson look.
Yeah. It's the same with Shannara.
The content is not that, and that is why the associations
Shannara,
or one of many reasons.
I watched Shannara. Shannara was awful.
It was like, is that how it's in the books? And you go back to like the original, like the Elfstones, you're like, no, that's not. The swords don't pop out of the ground like that. Like, what the fuck? How does that happen? And who are these people? And yeah, it's pretty weird. So,
just like Wheel of Time.
No, Wheel of Time is probably much worse. Probably.
Production wise, no. Insult wise, yes.
Yes, that's what I mean. Like,
Shannara like had Spike behind it.
Right.
It's the extent of the money that they had.
Yeah, it was not.
It just looked so bad.
It was not overly complicated, the sets and this and that. So it's like, okay, I get what they can work with, but then you see the CGI and you're like, that's cool. Where'd that come from? I didn't know swords and spells worked that way. I thought it was the stones. What the hell? And they changed a bit of the lore, and you're like, oh, okay, that's not the same.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, look, and yes, I agree with Chad. Look how the Disney Star Wars movies have destroyed Star Wars. They have taken... Yes, there are... I do still enjoy the originals, even the prequels, and many of the games. But there's always this memory of that can just randomly pop in. Like PTSD, it just randomly haunts you. Because you have these associations there, you have these memories up there somewhere that just jump in and think, oh. Or you have this thing where there's something done well in the old iteration that you're watching or playing, and you remember, oh, they did a similar thing in the Disney movies, and it's so shit because in those movies they basically also steal a lot from other stuff.
Him by the White Lion, anyone?
It's not homages. It's just theft. I'd rather call it theft in that sense.
Yeah,
the homage is something
Lion
more
King,
venerable.
Lion King was literally stealing shit from Kimba the White Lion, but Japan didn't sue because it's Disney.
That is a completely different topic.
All right. Let's keep going. Here's the Swedish chef for the 5. Thank you, sir. You hate Amazon, but they also hate you. That's why they're making it this way. Even Amazon execs are not so incompetent as to do this accidentally. I don't know. I really don't.
Bezos is on board with all this global homo bullshit. He fantasizes that in the future, humanity will first off largely be reduced in population, and the population count will be controlled, and most of humanity will live in cylindrical space stations orbiting the planet with focus on agrarian stuff and production, and the ruling class in another. So complete dystopian sci-fi bullshit. And Earth will be mostly depopulated by humans and only be a natural reserve to be preserved as the special thing, so that humans don't ruin it anymore. That is Jeff Bezos' vision of the future, vision of utopia. Don't believe me? Read interviews with him. I think this was one in Forbes where he stated this bullshit.
Okay.
The man is insane.
Let's get the
clearly
glorified librarian delivery service to get past that and keep going.
Of thing. Instead, it's that it feels like someone is making a mockery of something you love. And I can get that. I hate Shyamalan's The Last Airbender film, not just because it's poorly made, but because it's a terrible representation of a story very close to my heart. When I say, have you seen The Last Airbender? And they go, oh, you mean the movie?
Pretty much, yes.
That
Because
movie
it badly affects how people
is worse than
perceive
Wheel of
something that
Time.
I love, that
That-
I want to share with others. Of course, you do also have to recognize that even if the show is terrible, and we don't know it will be, it's gonna drive people to buy the books and read them for themselves. That always happens. Even if an adaptation is terrible, it brings people into the community. I started reading a Game of Thrones when the show came out, and even though the show didn't have a fantastic end,
While Danny kind of forgot about the Iron Fleet.
it continued to fuel people buying and reading the books for themselves, and that's great. So, in a roundabout way, even if the show is terrible and we don't know it will,
Yeah, but this is horrible advertisement. It is absolutely horrible advertisement. It is like
It's made up.
it is cope. It sounds like coping. Yes, there is an effect that is there, but it really sounds like coping. Like, yeah, it's horrible and it's completely blown up, burned up money, and all the actors' talents, if they are good actors, is wasted, and all the prop makers' work is wasted, and the cameramans and lighting and sound and set dressing and the editing work and everything. The special effects people, their work is also lost. Like, everybody's work is for naught. Because the writing's shit.
There is something to say about
Just because the writing is shit. And instead, we could have gotten something really good.
yeah.
We
There,
could have something basic, something generic. I would be fine with that. But these things are deliberately shit.
Yeah, the marketing does tell a story of what you're potentially going to be getting. Sometimes the marketing lies to hype something up, to show stuff that isn't there, like when we have that Star Wars movie where they had a scene in the trailer for Rogue One that was not in the movie. And it's like right near the end of the trailer where it gets really tense. This TIE fighter comes out of nowhere and is about to blow away Jyn Erso. And that scene doesn't exist in the movie. So there's things that are lies, and then there's bad marketing or marketing that doesn't work for the actual fans of the thing they're trying to make for. So that's the problem we see with the marketing. We go, okay, this is going to be bad, obviously. But yeah, we don't know for sure. That's the whole hope that we have at the back of our minds, going, well, it could be good. We still don't know. Anyway, here is Rome.
I hated the Uwe Boll works already when they came out. I was a kid when the Dungeons and Dragons movie came out. Was hyped for Dungeons and Dragons movie. Whoa!
Uwe Boll.
Oh, and there's a beholder, and there's a dragon. Whoa! And then you go to it, and I went to the cinema, and yeah, there was a beholder for 2 seconds, and there was a dragon for 2 seconds, and everything else was drivel that had absolutely nothing to do with Dungeons and Dragons. There was just generic fantasy world. Nothing had to do with how that world works.
If it were made
wasn't
nowadays, it would all be woke shit.
It wasn't Faerun. It was just bullshit. Yeah, today it would be woke shit. Uwe Boll at least didn't do woke shit. He just did generic bullshit. I would have never thought I'd ever get to that point, but I'd rather watch Uwe Boll bullshit than this.
Never
Uwe
forget,
Boll made-
never,
Uwe Boll's
never
movies
forget
are
Alone in the Dark.
scams. They're scams. But this
which-
is just insulting.
Which Dungeons and
No.
Dragons movie? The one from 2000? Because that was Courtney Solomon. It wasn't Uwe Boll.
The one with Jeremy Irons, I think.
That was Courtney Solomon, not Uwe Boll.
Yes.
Oh,
I mean, the point still stands, though.
It still stands, but it's just let's be factually accurate.
No, true. But the point still stands.
Yes, like the Dungeons and
Definitely
Dragons
was shit, and I associated with it because the way it was shit. This is probably why I associated with Uwe Boll.
you know, they're making another one.
Is, yeah, they are. The point is that we live in a war. We live in a society. I'm not kidding this time. We live in a society where something just being bad is better than it being what Rings of Power is.
Or Wheel of Time.
At least Dungeons and Dragons is the room of fantasy movies. It is so bad that you just have to laugh.
That too.
That's an odd way of
Yeah,
putting
but when I was a kid and watched that, I felt insulted.
There's also the reason why, for the longest time, the first Mortal Kombat movie was somehow one of the better video game movies out there. Mainly because there wasn't much competition.
Yeah.
All right. Here is, let me just get the donation. Roan Harushin. Hey, Roan, how's it going? So the Republic of Xeon from Gundam Wisp. God help us, Bezos is going to drop colonies on us for heating the rings of power.
Oh, he's not going to drop colonies on us. There will be no humans on the planet except a few custodians and gardeners for the rich to visit on their holidays, because that's what it's for. Then it's a pleasure resort then for the rich to enjoy. When the rich drop colonies onto the planet, it will only be to on a whim of, oh, I think we have too many people. Oh, they're rising up. Let's destroy that space station over there. Poop. Oh, 6 million people gone.
Getting a little neuromancer on me, but that's okay. Anyway.
Burned up in the atmosphere.
All right. Let's keep on going.
We're gonna bring more people into the world of Tolkien and get them to engage with it on a more personal level. Which is good, right? Even so, I still understand the fear and frustration with something you love being represented badly. That's a totally valid emotion. Number 3.
Right, so he just argued that because the show might be bad, it'll encourage others to seek out the books. I mean, that's possible, sure.
Yeah, it's a rare reaction. When the show is bad, when people think something is bad, they're usually not inclined to check other media where it's from.
I don't.
That is related. The people who think this bullshit is good, they will.
You might, because you know the brand, Lord of the Rings. Of course, we know Lord of the Rings. And then you watch this, you go, "What was this based off?" And it's not based off the Silmarillion. It's based off this poem, which they have the rights to.
And the appendices,
which I hope they lose immediately.
Which are so vague that it's just like, what's the point?
It involves a lot of creativity by hopefully these writers who know the lore, that they can. This is like trying to interpret like Mozart's unfinished pieces, and being this Mozart guru genius that knows everything about Mozart and knows how to play every one of his pieces. He says, well, this is my interpretation of what Mozart would have done. And you do it and you're like, hey, that's shit. Or, hey, you're amazing. Like, I don't know the reaction that people will have to filling in the blanks of a coloring book called Tolkien and just 100 pages of blankness.
Have you ever seen Mozart's notes? His original music sheets that he wrote on?
They're not the cleanest things in the world.
It's like a bunch of ants vomited on them
scribbling
at random.
And lines. Yeah, it's very hard to read. I know.
It's like, what?
Compared to Beethoven, though, they're actually legible. So it's okay.
Yeah, well, Mozart was a very free spirit, let's say.
Yeah. Okay.
And we're gonna switch up blades here because we're going up a level of seriousness. So we're switching over to Legolas's short blades, and I actually have no idea what the name of these blades are. So if you do know, let me know in the comments. But anyways, number 3, and this is my main fear for the show, and that is that they're going to prioritize their stories over Tolkien.
I don't think it's.
They don't have stories.
Yeah, I don't
think they have stories.
I don't think it's a priority. They have to write their own stories. There's nothing there.
Yeah, and what I mean with they don't have stories is that it will be the most generic and woke preferred crap that exists. Like a strong woman outsmarting man trying to save woman, but woman saves herself, and then he's just a bumbling fool in the way. And it looks funny, haha.
Yeah,
stuff like that. It's just stuff like that.
Make the elves, the Galadriel or whomever is the female elves, they're bisexual, but they don't like men in general. Then their heart gets melted by some random male chauvinist, and it's all this whole story of trying to charm the male, and the male's not interested, and she falls in love with him because she's too headstrong. It's like, oh, here we go. This is gonna be fantastic. Okay.
Hilarious.
Yeah, whatever. I don't know. Who knows what they're going to do? They're going to pull some romance story, obviously. They're going to pull some action adventure, some mystery, some murder, all kinds of levels of genre they're going to pull from. And it's going to be just a big, giant buffet of crap. And you're like, oh, okay. Tolkien world, I guess. Should be good. So.
Yep.
The Second Age takes place across 4,000 years. It covers the growth and expansion of various elven kingdoms and the Númenóreans, Sauron's rise to power and his manipulation of the men, elves and dwarves, the fall of Númenor, and the last alliance with Isildur taking the One Ring for himself. Those are the big bullet points. But here's the thing, like I said, most of all of that is described in this book, which Amazon doesn't have the rights to. So instead, they're coming up with kind of a shorthand version that is covered in references in the Lord of the Rings and the appendices, which is...
Yeah, and that's what I'm wondering. Why would you try to make this now while you don't have the rights to it?
Yeah.
Other than to... Because you can't exploit a brand properly this way to properly make money off it, you can only destroy it, which is what they're going to do.
Now, you could make the argument, this is a strange argument to make, that you do, if you have the rights to the appendice, it's kind of like having the rights to the codex in Mass Effect. Like you can't make something within the Mass Effect universe. Maybe you could do a prequel, but it has nothing to do with the actual game. You can't use characters from the game. You can't use scenarios. That's fair. But if you actually pay attention to the codex or the glossary or all the sections of the books that has all the detail, and you memorize it, I know all about all the words, all the nouns, all the characters, all that, and you take that and you make a prequel out of that, it could technically work very well because you have all this knowledge that you have to use for your creative juices to flow. That could work. Theoretically. I've never seen it done that way. It
also requires you to care to make it right.
You have to actually read the stuff. Yeah, that's true. You have to know it.
No, not just read that. You have to care about the stuff, like a fan, a real fan, to make this thing as it's supposed to be, so that it fits and is not some distorted, bloody crap thing.
That's part
like
of it.
this Wraith guy did with Wheel of Time, whom that Shill channel that Dunn showed me said, "Oh no, he's a true fan. I personally know," or some bullshit.
Well,
fuck off.
With the Wheel of Time,
He's unfortunately met Wraith, so it's kind of the problem with a lot of the positive Wheel of Time channels, like Dusty Wheel and the rest. Like they actually have done
these are corporate
interviews
shills.
well, okay, but
I'm telling you, these are corporate shills. Nothing else. They are corporate shills.
Yes, but
I know. I'm saying specifically how, like, they have actually done interviews with the cast. Like, the cast will show up on their YouTube channel, and Amazon will advertise their channels because they are positive on the show.
Right. But what I'm trying to get at is that show took the lore and twisted it. So they didn't actually care. They just said, "Oh, this is good. I could use this for my own means." And that's like, no. They should have done is saying, "Oh, this is let's say they didn't have the license to Wheel of Time series. They just had the lore. They had the glossary. So they were reading that and going, "Oh, I can take this and make a story out of that with other characters in a different setting or a different timeline or whatever, like 100 years ago, whatever."
Oh, you could easily play stories in that world. That is not a problem.
Yes.
The video game in around 2001, I think, did that. They played in a specific period in the Wheel of Time world, and had a made up character for that that made it work to be a first person shooter, and
the lore book of the Wheel of Time is huge. Like there was an entire lore book of the Wheel of Time. The world of the Wheel of Time is very big. Like you could make pretty much any story you wanted within those.
Yeah.
Like
was that out already in 2001?
Let me actually check. I think it came out around the time of book 7.
That could, that should be out then.
It's
the thing is that video game alone made all the locations in the Unreal Engine much better. It looked much better, much and more lore accurate than this show did. where these shields say, "Oh yeah, it's totally lore accurate. Oh yeah, that's how the White Tower looks," and they just elevated it to make it more. No, it looks like a stubby, fat little penis.
So
that's not the White Tower. It's not this elegant spire.
So the World of Wheel of Time was 1997.
Cool.
Oh, about the time.
All right, here's a weird, wonderful future vision from Swedish Chef. Enjoy your dormitory pod, mealworm burgers, and state-mandated demoralizing entertainment.
Yay! Let's wave our party flags. Approved Unity party flags. Yay!
Okay.
Now stop waving your Unity party flags and go back to work.
Let's continue.
Just not quite the same. So they're already hamstrung in the way that they can tell Tolkien's story. And it only gets harder because, to be honest, Tolkien wrote in ways that are very difficult to adapt. Like, take this passage describing Ar-Pharazôn, the last king of Numenor, taking Sauron captive. Then Ar-Pharazôn, in the folly of his pride, carried Sauron back as a prisoner to Numenor. It was not long before he had bewitched the king and was master of his council, and soon he attained the hearts of all Numenorians, except the remnant of the faithful, back towards the darkness. I mean, what do you do with that? And that's from the appendices, the stuff they do have the rights.
Yeah, that's a summary. It reads like a summary. You can fill in the details however you want. As long as you adhere to this.
One scene, one event, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
This guy knows.
But
his
you can
writing,
write.
right?
You can write an entire book about just this passage.
Yeah, this guy should have been able to pick up on this and analytically take it apart. It's not inherently complicated what this guy is doing to Sauron. So.
Yeah, and just as an example, this is also beautiful English. This shows that Tolkien knew how to write well and sophisticated in English. It's great. It's not just these standard babble sentences that you get in modern literature.
Well, I think
it is actual text.
Yeah, the depictions of war and the elves and the kingdoms of man, they all have this grandiosity to them.
I'm not talking about the descriptions. I'm talking about just the sentence structure, the grammar he's using.
Yeah, the vocabulary. All these things they add to the flavor of when you read what Minas Tirith is like and what life is like there and the lifestyle of the elves and the food they like. It's all very, very detailed. It's not little minutia for the sake of it. It's like they eat these food because it's magic and it does this and this connects to that and this is what we're taking on our trip and we're going to have it later and it comes back. Like I like that everything is, not everything, but most things that are have poetry behind them or have some legend behind them. It sort of connects to something that we see later. That's when we see when Gandalf gets his sword. Like there's a story in there somewhere. It's not just I found a sword. Like where? This is from an ancient war and blah blah blah. They dropped all their weapons and like that's cool. I want to know more. Same with Sting. Same with all these other the Shadowfax and all these other mythical creatures. It's not just, hey, I have a magical horse and he's really fast. It's like, no, he is the magical horse.
He is the Chad horse who gets all the mares.
Yeah, he's like Miracle in the Mel Brooks movie.
Yeah.
All right.
Will be trying to adapt. There are these huge gaps in the lore of Tolkien's world. That means adapting these stories requires you to invent new characters and expand these storylines if you ever want it to work in any kind of modern serialized format. And a lot of people are feeling
So what's going to happen is they're going to get some flavor of Strider, some flavor of Gandalf, some flavor of maybe a Hobbit. It's going to be, okay, what do we have to pull with? What works? And they're going to do that. They're going to do a version of a ranger.
You're gonna make NPCs that are not threatening the actual plot line. That's always the thing when you make prequels.
Maybe it's possible. You can't change what's going to happen in the future. That's the problem with prequels for sure. That some characters can't die, but you could always do twists with that. You could have a Lich King, or you could have some sort of undead character come back, and you could cast some spell. with magic. So there's lots of cool things you could do in fantasy that you can get away with that you can't do in other places or other genres. So
in a limited fashion.
Oh, for sure. You can't like have him come back as a god and then have his powers taken away and resurrect himself and have that happen again or be blown
Yeah, we
to
can't.
bits.
We also can't do 5 of these things with Elrond.
No. Yeah, maybe some CGI. I don't know.
No. Every episode, Elrond does another weird god transformation thing.
Yeah.
And at the end, he's just Elrond again.
Used up all
Elrond of the
know.
week.
I don't know if they would do that because he's a dude, and then they would do that with Galadriel.
Yeah, that's a good point. Probably.
Oh, they just temporarily transform him into a woman for the length of the series, and at the end they'll turn him back.
Well, so long as they don't hire the same guy who did the fight choreography of the armies from The Hobbit, like that was.
I don't want to hear a so long as, because that implies that you would be fine with this under some circumstance.
Well, the fight scenes that I saw, I didn't watch the film, or the films, but the fight scenes with the Hobbit, with the war, where you have this shield wall and they have spears and everything looks great, and the orcs are charging, and all of a sudden the shield wall goes down and these elves just start jumping over the dwarves' heads.
Yeah, that was it was dumb, but it was gloriously dumb.
It was like, what is going? What? And they do it a second time. Like, no, what's that? That's so silly.
It's not the end of Game of Thrones.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
It's
at least I actually still like the Hobbit movies, but I totally admit that they are really, really tismy.
the barrel, the barrel in the white water rapid scene. That was amazing.
That was bad.
That was amazing.
It was so bad, but it was hilarious.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, this is obviously a fantasy I'm watching. There's a magician, and he's controlling this barrel.
Everything is wizards.
Yeah, wizards did it.
Every inconsistency in the movies are explained by wizards.
Behind the scenes, no one's
Wizard did it.
like in the Simpsons episode.
Yeah. Wizard, invisible, flying. He knows all, sees all. He manipulates everything. Sauron did it. Oh, okay. Yeah.
That quote that came from the creators saying, can we come up with the novel Tolkien never wrote and do it as a mega event series that could only happen now? Which sounds like they're trying to create the
Maybe
next
there's
Marvel
a reason
Cinematic
why he never
Universe,
wrote
but
it.
I'm interpreting that as them just going, hey, Tolkien really didn't expand on a lot of these stories and scenes and characters, and so we're going to have to do that. Which is fine, I recognize that. So, all power to them adding new things to elevate the stories that Tolkien wrote.
Filling in gaps is different from completely messing with the lore.
Yeah, it's
And
like
coming up with
watching-
stuff out of whole cloth.
watching the story about the Kessel Run from Star Wars Solo.
About the Kessel Run, in quotes.
Yeah, it's like, let's make an entire event or story surrounding the. It's like, why would you do that?
And then not do it at all.
And his
Yeah,
name.
and pull
and-
in random inspiration in very big quotation marks from the expanded universe, where we put big space squid monster in there,
Which is
Yeah.
so dumb.
which is with a bunch of black holes everywhere, which is totally not in.
Yeah, that was totally there at the Kessel Run. I swear.
Yeah, you know where that's
The
taken
Kessel Run
from.
never happened.
You know where
The
that idea
Kessel
is
Run-
taken. Shut up. You
Fan
know where
fiction.
that idea is taken from.
Fan fiction.
Yeah, from the
You.
expanded universe, where the mother is imprisoned behind a wall of black holes to keep a space station in check, where she is kept because she's an eldritch monster god thing.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, and she's basically the big squid monster.
Oh boy. Well,
Yeah,
every little like nugget of lore they tried to frame the prequel to Solo or Han Solo was just stupid. It was just, that's the dice. That's really okay. That's the name.
nobody gives a shit.
That's really his name. I mean, all these little details are like, that's dumb, that's stupid, that's not fun, that's not cool. Everything's uninspired, doesn't have any impact, or doesn't make sense.
Yeah, they had to. This crap basically works by every little bit of set dressing that happened to be on the screen for just a frame is expanded into an explanation so that we get a scene for it. Just like Han's name, why he's called Solo. That was so dumb and unnecessary. And it didn't feel like world building because we never ever anywhere else ever heard the name Solo anywhere in the Star Wars universe. And if orphans were named Solo, then there would be a lot of people called Solo. But there are not.
We immediately thought of Jon Snow and all these other things that we learned about in public popular media, that orphans are called this way, or signing up for the Empire gives you this name. It's like, oh, that's a thing now. So that's stupid. Okay. It kind of hurts your brain, because when you just came from a popular media franchise, which is a little bit more intelligent than Star Wars, and I'm not saying it's a lot more, but I'd say considerably a little. That's a logical sentence. It sort of grains on your brain going, wait a second, did he just say he's going to give him a name because he doesn't have a last name? That's silly. Anyway, I'm sure it won't be as bad as the Solo movie for this.
Yeah, and Fred Nord in the chat said the Maw installation, and yes, I think that was the name.
The Maw installation.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there are so many gaps in the lore that they can fill, or they want to fill, that they might instead use those gaps to tell their own stories that don't really come from Tolkien's spirit or vision. That there is so much room in Tolkien's writing.
Yeah, but that's inevitable. Someone's going to have to make their own thing.
If they have their own amazing stories, then they should make their own fucking fantasy bullshit.
Oh, no. Okay, let's just, as I said, the most idealized solution is everyone is a lore master. They know everything about the appendix, and they just say, I'm going to make a ranger, and he's going to be like this. He's not going to be like Strider, but he's going to be like this. And they say, okay. And everyone checks each other's work. That's the ideal scenario. Everyone is like watching it. Do you know what you're doing? Let me check. Okay, that has nothing to do with dragons. Don't even include that. Like, you can't invent stuff out of nothing, but you can create characters based off the lore. So it's going to be inspired by something, right? You can't create like a cleric class like in D&D and have clerics running around and they cast spells. You can't do that. So,
well, they are inventing random relatives that don't exist.
Yeah, that's inevitable. That's what I mean. Like, but it comes from
characters. No. That's not okay.
It has to.
No.
Yeah.
No.
It's a
not in
prequel.
that case. Not in that case.
I'm sorry. It's going to happen. There's no other.
Not in. Yeah, they're going to do it. Yes, they've announced that. That's why I'm bringing it up. But they shouldn't do it, especially in this case, because the genealogy is already been written by Tolkien.
Well, I don't know if it's a matter of just the genealogy, because it's like the side character, like the people that have the genealogy would be the main characters, whereas the people that are not in the genealogies would be like the side characters, like just the people that the best friend of X, Y, or Z.
But the character they've invented is some sister of Isildur, or who it was.
Yeah, that's stupid.
Stupid. And she doesn't exist.
She doesn't exist. That's stupid. But you would have to make up at least a few characters in order for the story to function.
Yeah, that's okay. Then you can make up random characters that have nothing to do with any of the official stuff. If you use any of the official characters, they have to be like the official characters, and not have random other siblings when it is not when the family tree is explicit. When the family tree has holes or is mentioned to have holes, okay, then you have some opening. But I think in the case of Isildur, that is not the case.
Isildur had a
There's a reason why the Middle Earth games, the only character they use is are Sauron and Gollum, because they're so straight to the point that you cannot possibly fuck them up.
Yeah.
Okay.
That to prioritize the stories that they. It does seem that Elrond and Galadriel are going to be the driving characters of the story, but we also do have non-canon characters, like Halbrand, a love story between an elf and a human, and another elf called Arondir, and a few others, I'm sure. And as said, simply
totally
adding
right.
characters is not inherently a bad thing. Like, sometimes Tolkien will describe events in...
But you are giving us the exact examples of bad characters invented. Not only is Galadriel in battle armor, what the fuck? No, you show us a black gray elf. What the fuck? That doesn't work.
But yeah.
Yeah, that simply does not work.
Was Galadriel in any wars, or just walked around with armor?
She actually did something in The Hobbit, I think.
She did participate. She was at least there during the Battle of Unnumbered Tears, just as far as I remember.
Right.
Let me consult the.
And also, again, non-canon, but I think in at least Shadow of War, she did have a bit of a hand in what was going on too.
She was involved with the Second Age. Yeah.
She's the one that in the game, she's the one that gave Celebrimbor the visions of what Sauron was going to do with the One Ring.
Right. She taught. Was it the Lore Master who taught her, or taught how to make the rings?
It was Celebrimbor
I think
who made the ring.
in the games, Celebrimbor made all of the rings except the One Ring.
Right. But who taught him? Was it?
It was Sauron.
Was it? Yeah, I thought it was Sauron. Okay.
Probably Sauron. I mean, well, Sauron was the one that gave him his hammer to make the rings in the first place.
Yeah.
So
that's how he was able to That's how he was able to deceive Celebrimbor into actually showing Sauron how to make a ring of power, which led to the One Ring.
Yeah. So I wouldn't say Galadriel was a warrior per se. She was more like this person of knowledge that would impart information and secrets whenever she wanted to. Maybe there were some scuffles. Maybe she put on some armor here and there, but I don't think she actually participated in wars that I'm aware of.
It says in the Lord of the Rings wiki that she had no role in the major wars in the First Age.
Oh, that's really old. Okay, yeah, I wouldn't even know.
Yeah.
Well, remind me, by the time of The Hobbit, that was the Third Age, right? Or not?
So The Hobbit is Third Age, yeah.
Yeah, because The Hobbit is like The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings, and by loose extension, the Middle Earth games, those are all the Third Age.
Okay.
Yeah.
The abstract or movements within a civilization, but he won't attach characters to them. So this is one way to give those events a face, a way to explore them in this medium, and I think I'm fine with that. We will not know which stories they're prioritizing until the show airs. And come on, we've had one trailer and it was a minute long, and some people are already making up their minds? Come on. And may I remind you that even with changes, this would not be the first time that changes to a book have still yielded a beautiful, memorable story. Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick became
Are you just shilling now?
What is he talking about?
I think either he's coping or he's a paid shill right now.
He is talking about PKD's book that inspired Blade Runner. It's like, that's true, but that's not what's happening here.
I think that I feel like this is cope more than Hello Future Me being like a shill. He has critiqued stuff in the past, but yeah.
Why would you do this? Why would you go to this length for something like that when you have seen so many franchises, and I dare say raped at this point in exactly this fashion? How can you still still think you can somehow prop up hopes after you've seen this, after you've put it on the screen. You've put the black elf on the screen. You are insane to believe that there's anything good gonna come from this.
Honestly, that's the least of the problems.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is. The most...
No. You don't pull the same bullshit with me that you did with me when you made me watch Wheel of Time.
I don't care, Wisp. The race of the person is irrelevant. The quality of the writing is what matters. Like,
it's a mix in this case.
No, it's
major problem is the fact that the showrunners are basically nobodies, and there's no source material to go off of. Everything else is tangential.
Oh, that's why they turned the gray elves into black people now at random.
That it is part of the issue. Not a big one, but it is an important part of the issue.
That's irrelevant.
Anyway, the point
it's not irrelevant. Just like suddenly having people of every fucking race, pure-blooded, in the two rivers at the start of Wheel of Time. That also doesn't make any sense.
You could just be from Harad. That's also a possibility.
It is still an aspect of the overall problem, Dunn. There is still some of it that in play. You can't deny that.
All right. Well, the original point was he's talking about Philip K. Dick's original book and the inspiration to write Blade Runner, which are almost the same story to a point, but this is like having the rights to PKD and then doing a prequel. That's a little different. So, and we've seen some versions of prequels to Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep in comic book format. So, that's been done properly before. And these are really complicated genres. We're talking about the cyberpunk genre. There's all these details, there's all this lore, there's all this setup in the setting that you can't change. You can't just suddenly change how technology works 5 years ago. It has to be consistent. So that's what I'm mostly concerned with, how they deal with magic, how they deal with lineage, and what personalities were like back then. Are they all just going to be a bunch of quirky personality with...
that's going to be weird.
Are they going to be modern jokes and all this other nonsense and vocabulary? It's like, oh, that's not going to work.
There's totally going to be modern jokes and swearing in there. Those modern jokes and swearing in the Wheel of Time.
Oh. It's possible. I don't know. I have to really read up on my Tolkien and see what the hell it could be there. So
modern jokes in the Wheel of Time?
Basically just like the I think like if I wanted to be with a man, I could do better than him. You remember that?
How's that a modern joke?
It's a gay joke.
Boo.
Okay.
That's not modern, Dunn. Humans have done this for millennia. Do you know? Do you know about the stories the old Egyptians told each other over the campfire about their gods? Most of those were gay jokes.
Okay.
Bloody hell.
Let's keep going. Great Scott, thanks for the 2. If Amazon approached Lord of the Rings the same way CD Projekt did with Witcher as opposed to Netflix, there'd be less of an issue, but just from the rumors and news surrounding this crap, it's just not good. Okay. The difference is CD Projekt Red took the ideas from The Witcher and made it their own. And they respected the writer in the capacity the license was given, and they understood what the fans liked with a few twists that were not in the books, just to make it more compatible with the gaming aspect. But they pretty much preserved what was there. Obviously, the author disagrees because he's the author. He knows exactly what he wrote. So he doesn't like certain versions. But it was a success because it appealed to the people from that medium. So if they can take the books and adapt that, which is very difficult, we're talking about Tolkien, and take the lore and run it back, was it a few thousand years? How long is the timeline from the Third Age?
The Third Age, so Third Age, which itself is 3,000 years long.
Right. So we're going
And you have
way back.
we're going like 5,000 years before the movies.
Right. So there's plenty of things you could do that should have no impact along whatever happens in the future. As long as some people don't die. That's about it. Everything else you could get away with. Some magic you could twist a bit, just a bit, not too much. Some relationships between the humans and their medieval. Is it medieval still? I'm assuming it's still that level of technology. It's not completely primitive.
I think.
Yeah, you can't go too far like Stone Age. You can't go too advanced like steel. Like, oh, they must have steel. They must have learned how to do metallurgy there. So we're assuming the same level of technology, maybe a touch below. Maybe they're in the Bronze Age. I don't know.
I've seen articles that, here as SJW articles, that argued for, if it's that far in the past, maybe they had lost technology. Isn't that a good justification to bring guns into the movie?
Really?
Oh, bullshit.
Into
hell,
the Witch
really?
series.
Wow.
I don't know if they would go. Well, there are some justifications in the lore for like ancient technology being lost, like the Palantir is an example. The history of Tolkien is basically a slow decline from ancient grandeur to slow loss of said grandeur. That's pretty much his whole thing is like Numenor is not as great as Gondolin, and Gondolin wasn't as good as Valinor. It's a whole lot of stuff there.
Palantir, my stock portfolio.
It's just the old Roman belief that humanity is in a constant state of decline because every generation that comes after is more shit than the previous. Because back in the day, everything was better. And they extrapolated from that, if everything had been better in the olden days, like all the old people say, and their old people said it was better then that means that there must have been a time of absolute splendor and height, and everything was awesome. And that is where the Romans incorporated the Atlantean myth into.
We do have just evidence in Tolkien because we have the ancient swords that Gandalf and the others find.
I would like to see what they do with it, because there's definitely stories of old that are so ancient, very few remember them except the elves, and they would know about stuff like a Palantir or technology along those lines, like a proto-Palantir or something like that. That would be cool. I think that'd be permissible. You want to tell
Actually, the Palantirs were made by humans.
Oh, I thought it was Sauron.
Because the Numenor made them as a means of communicating across their empire.
Right. Yeah, see, stuff like that's cool. I'd love to see how they flesh that out.
If only you knew how bad things are.
I know.
In the well-crafted science fiction films of all time, and has one of the most iconic scenes of all time.
Like tears in rain.
So here is a drop of hope. And a bucket of skepticism. Number 4, Dwarf Woman No Beard. Everyone knows that Tolkien only cared about 3 things when making Middle-earth. Number 1, the power of friendship. Number 2, New Zealand's tourism industry.
If there's a mishap during takeoff or landing, brace yourself on the sea in front of you.
And number 3, Dwarf Woman Beards. What have you done, Jeffrey? What did you do with our big, beefy Dwarf Woman beards? Did you get rid of them after they tried to unionize?
Don't point at the fuzz.
Number 5, it's 2, The Hobbit. Let me explain what that means. So, we all know that the worst parts of The Hobbit were the...
Wait, he didn't address that at all? Is he gonna address it later, or is he gonna say anything to that?
I hope he says something later.
Yeah.
So, slight correction on my part. It was actually made by Feanor during the time of the Two Trees. It's the elf who made everything.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So, Hello Future Me, who does videos on world building, for example, doesn't give a shit about world building. I'm sorry for exploding
that's
like
a
that.
valid.
But fucking hell.
I think that's a valid.
That is,
No. That's the list of valid complaints you could have. He just mentioned it. That's it.
There's
I hope he addresses it, because right now it looks like he doesn't give a shit about world consistency. And then you don't have world building, because then your world just falls apart.
So there's two arguments with this one. It's either, well, Tolkien didn't write any black people, any black dwarves. There's also the argument that there are other places in the world that could have black dwarves or black elves because there are black humans there.
Literally the only thing he wrote
but you
black
do
is
not have a random single unique individual in your bunch of other homogeneous people just pop up because you are filling your Amazon race quota for your employees in your media industry, just like the BBC does. They have race quotas for roles in their productions. If that's not racist, I don't know what is.
There is one thing. There is one thing he wrote black. Sauron's armor.
Haradrim, technically black.
Yeah.
The world of Dragon Hunters of the cartoon is more consistent and in one piece, although it's just a bunch of floating rocks.
Yeah,
all right.
The Middle Earth games are more consistent, and those change things like a motherfucker.
All right, here's Great Scott. They could easily respect Tolkien's lore and world building, yet still include people of color from the Easterlings, who are basically Mongols, to Harad, which is similar to the Middle East, but the left tends to ignore every other race, really.
Yeah, and they deliberately ignore it because they think, oh, if we don't depict the black people as super sophisticated, technologically and magically advanced, but instead as these tribal backwater assholes, then that's racist. We need to show them that they have all the super technology and are super sophisticated. Because black people have to be Wakanda. There must not be the random tribes that you have, like everyone else on the planet has.
Ugh. All right.
Bombastic, pointless action scenes like the barrel riding or the fight with Smaug and the golden statue. It's this question of why would a character do X when they can do it?
I hated when that golden statue suddenly started exploding at random points. That is not how thermodynamics work.
It's like, yeah, that's
so
really dumb. Like, a lot of stuff in the Desolation of Smaug is really dumb.
If it was metal plated, it could technically work that way, and then the gold was on.
No, it was solid gold.
Oh, really?
It's like a solid gold statue.
Oh.
I do remember that detail. It was solid gold.
Yeah, because at the end, the thing is just flat on the ground, a golden lake that buries Smaug in it.
That's funny.
It's dumb.
Yeah,
it is really dumb. I love it because it's dumb, but it is dumb.
Okay, guilty pleasures are okay. That's always it's always fine when people say this is. I know it's bad. It's a guilty pleasure. Then that's okay. But I don't accept this when people try to sell me absolute shite as the epitome of cinema and television, like Buffy and Angel. If you say that's a guilty pleasure, okay.
Like Mission Impossible, which 4 through 6 are just awesome.
I'm not gonna watch it, Dunn. Don't try.
Okay.
I told you,
I
don't care.
I'm just saying you're wrong.
No, I don't care.
I'm just
All
saying.
right.
No, you're just saying
Let it go, damn it.
You're not gonna make me watch it.
I don't care. I'm
Stop.
just saying you're wrong.
You insulted me too much. I'm not gonna watch it.
All right.
Stop, both of you. Jesus.
Keeping on with the video.
With an explosion behind them, or in slow-mo, or with a fancy stunt. There's this shot of Arundir catching an arrow and someone leaping up in the air in slow-mo.
Okay, yeah, that's annoying. Catching arrows? Okay.
It's so bad. That's so
But
dumb.
Legolas did it, so the black man has to do it too.
Oh, God.
No, it's actually...
That is their
actually,
logic,
Legolas,
Smud.
Actually, Legolas never caught an arrow. This is from... The closest comparison I can think of is actually Swan Princess. That is the only movie that I can think of where a character catches an arrow and fires it back. I just had something.
Oh, there were probably some Asian movies, but I would have thought that was. It's a long time since I've last seen the movies. I would have thought it's somewhere in there.
No, he doesn't.
Or they just
he never
put it
catches
in
him.
because it's the first. It's the classic monk archer thing,
Really?
and of course you have the you have a Dungeons and Dragons feed for it. Haha!
Really?
Of course.
There's a passive skill? Like you just do that?
You can you can take a feat where you can catch an arrow per round
Oh my god.
that's shot at you. Yeah, and then shoot it back. Yeah. There's a swift. I think that's a swift action.
Okay. That's insane. Anyway.
Yeah, but it's a fantasy role playing game. Of course, it's insane.
Yeah, I know, but that's like.
And it's the big insane fantasy role playing game. It's not like the Dark Eye, which is very much more grounded and focuses much more on character play and character building instead of dungeon crawling.
All right.
And in my opinion, if there's too much of that, I don't think I'll vibe with it. Tolkien's works do have these huge mythic moments, but they're usually
don't look
pretty
like that when you're
subtle
hanging
or
off
down
of
to
a
earth.
sword in
Like
the
you even
rock.
look at Gandalf's confrontation with the Balrog, and it's got a subtlety to it that a lot of big monster confrontations don't. But again, Melon, we have only seen the trailer.
No. We've seen enough of the trailer to know it's shit. Like,
And we've also-
no, that's so far. I want to
We've
see the girl
also
on the.
seen their track record.
Yeah, that as well. Where was the scene with the girl on the cliff? How did I miss that? Thought it was after the. There.
Yeah.
So
she's clearly just not hanging.
she's
that's
standing
not
on
hanging.
something. If you hang, she's hanging on the sword that's rammed into the ice. Is what this
Either
implies.
that,
Yes?
or she's lying horizontally.
She has.
as a,
I mean, what this is supposed to be.
Yeah, really
we're
strong
supposed to
triceps. Like that's like. I'm gonna.
Yeah, then she's floating in the air. If we're looking here flat on the ground, then she's floating in
I'm
the
gonna
air.
bend my arms so I could flex, and then I'm just like hanging while I'm flexing. It's like, your arms would be straight. They'd be straight down. You would not be.
Yeah, she'd just be lifting up herself from the elbows if this was the ground. You would not have this relaxed expression on your face if that was the case.
It's like she's doing an easy plank, but standing
Yeah.
on something.
Yeah, this is. I'm sorry. This is not giving me any sense of tension or danger. Unlike Gandalf, the fucking half god, standing in front of a Balrog and looking like he's about to
Melt.
face the nightmare of his life, which he is.
yeah, since even though like he is technically of the same like
That's what I mean.
ethereal
He is,
rank.
yes, that's what I mean. That's what he is facing the nightmare of his life. Because they're both technically the same kind of being,
All right.
which you don't see as if you just watch the movie, of course. But it drives it home. There's this super powerful wizard, and he's standing against this giant flaming beast, and this one of the most powerful beings in this whole story, is distraught. And here, little girl hangs off her sword in the air, and she's like, this is a fun stunt, haha.
Yeah.
That's what.
What
pisses me
exactly
off.
they're doing doesn't. What exactly like they're doing here, like other than Galadriel's like. It seems like Galadriel is the Gandalf in The Hobbit with this one, because it's like Morgoth's been defeated. Maybe Morgoth still has some stuff left over. We don't know. Maybe we should keep a watch. And Gil-galad's like, nah, sure, why not? That's probably what we're going to get.
This scene here is what I expect from and not on this quality level, but what I would expect of I don't want to say sloppy, but of some fan film. But I have seen fan films at this point of various franchises that have so much better acting in them, take care about props, do even some special effects if they can afford it. It is astonishing. And then I see the official stuff from Amazon here, and it's like, what is this crap? When fans at this point can make better stuff than the official, expensive, overfed studios.
Yeah, it's the weird thing is they seem like even with Wheel of Time, they seem like they were cutting a lot of costs with that and didn't know how to use their budget. Also picking a lot of mostly actors who had not been in anything or were like relatively obscure, like Sophie Okonedo, Daniel Henney,
Who?
The lady who played Swan. She's a relatively like unknown British actress. She's mostly been in like theater stuff.
I mean, that alone is not the issue. It's not the issue of is the actor unknown. If the actor is good, the actor is good. What I mean is, in fan productions, fan films, everyone involved cares to make it good. When I see this, the director already didn't care to tell her, dude, girl, you're hanging off your sword. Yes, we put you on wires so that it's easy for you. And then to make the stunt work and look right. Yes, we tricked with the gravity. Yes, to make it easy for you. But could you please act that it's difficult for you, that it's strenuous? So this is not just a failure on the actress here. This is a failure on part of the director.
Yeah, seems like it.
All right.
They could be using the idea that, oh, she's an elf, she's a superhuman. It's like, no, elves aren't necessarily superhuman.
All right, let's continue.
Tolkien's works do have these huge mythic moments, but they're usually pretty subtle or down to earth. Like, you even look at Gandalf's confrontation with the Balrog, and it's got a subtlety to it that a lot of big monster confrontations don't. But again, Melon, we have only seen the trailer, so this isn't something to judge of the show anytime yet. It's just about
it is. Yes, it is, because the trailer is supposed to get us hyped for the thing. And instead, the trailer puts us off, insults us, looks disgusting. So it makes us not want to watch it. Don't tell us we shouldn't judge the series based on the advertisement. Okay, this is why I generally don't want to watch trailers, because they spoil a lot. Usually the scenes that were just made for the trailer to look good and get you to watch the actual movie, which is then more shit. Which tells me that if this is the good stuff they have, that they show me in the trailer to get me into the show, then it's gonna be even worse.
All right.
You don't have. I'm sorry. I have to question. Do you have any movie-going experience?
Like with Wheel of Time, where there were multiple scenes in the trailers that didn't show up because a lot of it was from the first episode, which seems like the first episode was cut to hell based on the original script, where they actually showed stuff like Matt and Rand having sex. Or
no. Please rephrase that.
Matt and Rand having sex with their respective significant others.
Thank you. Which they also don't have in the books, by the way.
Okay.
Gawain and Rand are like semi-dating, but yeah, it's not serious. But this is the village where people get embarrassed when they hold hands. Like, if you hold hands, you basically have to marry now. That's the kind of culture that is.
I guess they've been
conservative backwater village culture, and instead they just have free sex with each other. La da da.
They've been reading a lot of Japanese manga. It sounds like.
No, they're just reading. They're just reading Western smut fiction.
Okay.
The people who make these shows, all this SJW shit, the fan fiction they write is all just random characters that they ship having sex.
Not inaccurate.
So we're watching episodes of Rome, is what you're saying.
God, I hated that show. Think, something about Rome where they put actual money into. Woo! Oh, it's just people fucking again. Oh,
God. Blood splatters.
Just fucking.
Oh,
yeah, it's like everything that they make. They go around and we need to protect the kids. We need to protect the kids. Oh, there's too much sex in the video games. Oh my god! And then every fucking show that the United States makes, or in collaboration with other countries, is people fucking just with a different set behind them. Whether it's Rome, whether it's pirates, whether it's science fiction, it's always whether it's some IT story like *Halt and Catch Fire*. First episode, we have to have some characters fuck with each other to get the audience engaged. Huh?
Yeah, that's mostly HBO. It's mostly that's HBO's thing, but and Starz. But yes, by and large, yes, that is true. With varying levels of explicitness.
Okay.
Going into it, and something I think a lot of other dwarf and elf, not black. This is the big one, right? This is the one that everyone's talking about. All right, fine. Let's sit down. Let's talk about it. Or you can sit down. I can't sit down while I'm filming. So instead, here is a picture of a chair. It is 100% understandable to be frustrated about things you love and not being adapted faithfully. I just talked about my own frustrations with that. And this is especially the case in the Tolkien community, who have always had an uncommon loyalty to the exact vision of the author. And dismissing those feelings and concerns as just racism makes you a prick, okay? But also, if you're...
What?
So, like, he is saying...
No, he's not defending it.
No. Yeah. I have to process this because it was a very short punchline.
No, he's talking about that the people that dismiss the criticism against it as racism, they're the people. The woke people are wrong in that case.
Okay. Thank you. Because this side I hear relatively rarely. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Because otherwise I would have had to listen to
No,
it again.
yeah, it's like he said that the woke people are
Good.
wrong for dismissing it as racism.
Good.
Looking at the and you're hyperfixating on a black dwarf and a black elf, then maybe faithfulness to Tolkien isn't your only concern. And it's worth thinking about where that hyperfixation and anger at...
No, the question is, why is a blank dwarf a princess and a blank elf seemingly main character, important character, why are they so unexpectedly, uniquely different from what is to be expected of this world? If you want to have your special race of black dwarves, put them somewhere. Have them somewhere. We have them, and we have them in Norse mythology. I've brought this up before. I need to read up on this stuff on this stuff again. I forgot because I've forgotten a lot, especially in the last
it's within
2 years. My brain is like melting. There were black dwarves who were making a special sword, cursed sword for someone, and this was one of these horrible swords that if you draw it, it needs to feed blood. It needs blood, otherwise it's gonna go bad. Something like that. But it's not just that those dwarves were good smiths. They were. I'm sorry.
Well, the idea of changing lore...
I can't think anymore.
The idea of adding to lore is fine, provided it's explained. Like, I have nothing personally against it, unless they have proper explanation. This is another race of elves. This is another tribe. This is another area that is been ostracized, or no one's heard of, or they're in secret. They're coming out. Like, something along these lines you have to explain. That's fine. I don't mind that. And then you would have to show their downfall and their destruction because they were never heard of again in the future, right? So you have to set it up properly. You have to end it properly. That's all I really care about. So they could put orange-colored elves. I wouldn't care. I was like, yeah, fine, go for it. So long as it makes sense and it's handled properly. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. that they choose these characters specifically, not some random characters in the background,
Right.
as it was in The Hobbit. They were in that dark swamp village. There was a random black family in the background of that village.
Black people. Yeah, I think it was just random black people like scattered throughout. Like,
yeah, I mean, if you have that in your weird, stupid backwater town, some family that for some reason traveled there. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And it's not
that family, by the way, is not gonna last. That blackness is not gonna last through the generations. That's gonna disappear within three generations.
Well, that's what it's getting to.
So these people got there recently. The same. It works the exact same in any other place in the world. And thanks for the chat. I think it was who was it? Yeah, the Precise Climber wrote, whatever happened to the levels of ultraviolet radiation in various parts of the world being the reason for the existence of various skin tones?
It's true.
Because that is apparently not working anymore in Tolkien's world after the Amazon treatment, the woke treatment. This is why we find it racist what the social justice warriors are doing. That is racist. They are not respecting the actual how the world works, how this fantasy world works. They don't have respect for the other races in that fantasy world. Everybody has to be of the awesome races, awesome cultures. All the races have to be of the awesome cultures. You know what that tells me about these other cultures, the actual the Easterlings. It tells me that they're so backwater that they are ethno-nationalists who only accept people of their own skin color that look like them. Ooh, didn't want to hear that, did you?
Okay, let's keep going.
Comes from, because having a black elf and a black dwarf meaningfully changes what exactly? Lore-wise, yeah, I'm not going to pretend that there were darker-skinned elves. It's unlikely that that was ever the case in Tolkien's vision, and there were only ever maybe darker-skinned dwarves, and I can understand people not liking change from Tolkien's vision on principle, but there are so many changes that are far more fundamental to Tolkien's vision and mythology than this. For example, compressing the timeline of thousands of years to just 150 or so removes the poetic discussion of the fall of civilizations rather than individuals, and it minimizes the unique role that elvish immortality plays in Middle-earth. But for a lot of reasons, a black elf and a black dwarf are getting a lot more attention. Hellbrand is another
No. A black dwarf and a black elf get more focus in the backlash to the critique than the shortening of the story. They're both criticisms that people bring up.
It's a massive smoke screen in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and it is that the racists who put these black characters there are the ones who put them there, in part, also as a distraction for people to focus on and then complain about, they're complaining about the completely irrational black people we put there. So those criticizing us for this race swapping, they're the racists. No. That's the trick. That's the fucking trick. And we've criticized this. Staunching the right word of the timeline this much for a story that always what we know Tolkien for is that he took time to tell his stories. The Lord of the Rings takes time to be told, because when you read the books, you feel the journey through the descriptions of this long and arduous. There's a tree over there, here's this river, then we walk over that meadow, and it goes on for pages. That's not just beautiful descriptions, it also gets a bit tedious, but that's on purpose, because it makes us feel the length of the journey, of the story. What this stuff does, and you correctly point that out, and that is something that Tolkien fans also criticize for various reasons, is that this is basically a highlight reel. And that's not, that can't, it is a story when you remove all of that. We've talked about this with the differences between Western filmmaking and Asian filmmaking. Western filmmaking has lost the ability to let a movie breathe. Like in Asian filmmaking, you still have this punctuation that things happen, and then you get this quiet scene with like a landscape shot, and you let a fort run out, and you just let it give the audience time to let it sink in. The polar opposite to that would be Michael Bay, where you have explosion for 3 hours with no moment of quiet. All the time somebody's talking, all the time something's exploding, there is no break, so that you, as the viewer, have no time to think, so that you don't even notice that everything is bullshit. This is somewhere in between, where it's not explosions all the time, but it's just gonna be bullshit all the time.
Michael Bay is actually racist, unlike a lot of the things these people claim are racist.
Yep.
Okay, let's continue.
Non-canon character, but I've heard a hell of a lot more about Arondir than I ever have heard about him. And
that is also because this is clearly visually obvious, while the staunching of the story of going above through all of this timeline, you do not hear about that in the trailer. That is something we know from articles where they've talked about this. But let's be honest, who the fuck reads these articles?
Just people like Dragon Demands. Or trying to say, okay, let's calm down, people. Let's not be too hasty with this one. It could just be a bad
Yeah, that's
trailer.
coping shields people coping, and of course the fans who care, who go out looking for what bullshit are they gonna write now? What bullshit are they gonna write now? That's the three types of people who read this shit. I don't think random normal public masses are reading any of this. Not to any relevant numbers.
No, I would agree.
We're at the point in history where we have our personally trusted media figures, talking heads, that we go to in order to read these articles to us with their commentary. We're not even reading the articles themselves anymore.
All right.
This is to say that everything we've seen so far indicates a role in the story and probably amount to a much larger change. Some people are saying that this is to do with world building, because ethnicity is a thing in Middle-earth, as it is in many stories, in the same way that languages are. But even that only suggests a much lower racial diversity, and guess what? Everything we've seen indicates that's the case anyway. A lot of people concerned about how Tolkien was drawing on English and Celtic and Finnish cultures when creating the elves, and he was, but I don't think that these characters stop the story from exploring and representing those cultures in a meaningful way. It doesn't stop it from being a mythology for England like Tolkien wanted, and I think we've got to be careful about thinking too allegorically about...
No. We do associate Tolkien's creations with the British Isles, or as a variation thereof.
Yeah, he just admitted to a lower racial diversity. It's like, yes, that's right. He did write just about specific kinds of races, and the ending of the story implied evolution, that there's a change happening to the hobbits. They're taller than their previous generation. So he wasn't unaware. He just did not specify exactly what he only specified exactly what he wanted.
So, yeah, but those are magically induced things that happen there.
I don't know if it was magic or was just part of life. I don't know exactly what he meant to say.
Specifically magic, because they drink and steroids.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right.
There were jokes about that in the book.
Okay, I didn't know that.
And in the movie.
been a while.
So the thing is, what these people here that make these movies do not respect, and what you gleefully gloss over. Maybe because are you living in some American city where there's just everyone of everyone? What?
This guy is in New Zealand or Australia. I can't remember which.
Okay.
He's not American.
Either way, strange places with strange people. If people live in one place for many, 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 many generations, and as I said before, it doesn't even need to be long, they will all look pretty much the same. They have very slight details, very slight differences, but between Village A and 10 miles away, Village B, people will know just by looking at each other's noses, brows, chins, whatever, calves, whatever they can see, ears, lips, nose hair, that guy is from the other village, that girl is from the other village. It is like that. I'm not going to apologize anymore. Bloody hell. You go to other parts of Germany and you can tell, okay, the people here look different. It's just in the big cities where this amalgamation happens because there's everyone from everywhere. And this process of homogenization doesn't happen to that degree because there's just so many people. But if you have these rural places like in Middle-earth, that's not gonna... No, people are so inbred, they just all look the same. Give it 3 generations.
A whole lot of traveling either.
Yeah, people do not travel that much in that time. You have merchants, all right, but you don't have these... we came from the other end of the continent because we sought a better life here in the swamp village in The Hobbit where everything's dark and depressing. Like, yeah, great idea. I'm sure your children love you for that, for bringing you into this damp village in the swamp where with a humidity level that just breeds disease of pathogens that your immune system has never even heard of, so it's probably going to kill you within a year. Yep, cool, great idea. That is why we don't have random black dwarf and random black elf. Give us a reason why these characters are there, because they should not be there. If those characters are there, they must have a very good reason. It's the same with, there's this white dude in the middle of Africa. Why is he there? Oh, it's just racial diversity. Dude, this must work both ways. Yeah, this must work both ways when you make it up like that.
All right.
And that white dude would have to be just as accepted as everyone else, and not be instantly slaughtered because he looks different.
I'm going to see the next point he has, because right now this is pretty much all the good points. He hasn't gotten to any of the bad points yet, so I'm like, all right, are we going to get there? These are all valid arguments. He's just going through his own opinion. So
it's like nobody knows anymore how people work.
Seems that way.
You don't need to like it.
In our world and the racial
biology.
Right? Because Middle-earth was created as a mythology for England, and Tolkien drew explicitly on ancient Celtic, Finnish, and Anglo-Saxon cultures and traditions in creating much of his world. And
Don't you mean Swedish? I am not familiar enough with Finnish mythology, but it's usually the Norse stuff that he draws on. And I don't know how much effect that has on the Finnish people, because that's a very special part of Europe, Northern Europe.
All right.
Very
I do think that
history.
it is really important to depict those if they're gonna do this right. They shouldn't pretend like those aren't important influences. And I think we should be really careful about forcing allegory between racial groups in our world versus Middle-earth. Not only because Tolkien famously hated allegory, but especially when these lines between these peoples are not nearly as defined as some people like to imagine. Like, Tolkien explicitly noted that Gondorians were culturally Egyptian in some ways, while their religion was Hebraic, while also being European. If you're reducing that cultural influence down...
So Macedonian. Ha 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 ha. Okay.
...to scale alone, and only looking at through the lens of these couple of characters and hyper-fixating on this in the way that some people are, I think that's reductive and the wrong way to approach this. The amount of anger at this change specifically is just disproportionate.
No, it's not. Because this has been happening for years now. It is done deliberate. It is done with the explicit statement to erase what these ideologues call white culture. They have an intention. They don't do this at random. They do this with the intent to defile things and to take them over and or destroy them. This is why Amazon, HBO, Disney, whatever, is not making great movies with multi-million-dollar budgets about African mythology, where they could have all the black people that they wanted. No. And they wouldn't put white people into that. I betcha.
All right. Well, let's get into stream memes. That was the major argument I wanted to see, and he seems to be having a very... He tried to argue for both points, that he had a very narrow view, like, oh, you're not thinking outside the box. It's like, why would we do that? That's not...
Let him finish this point.
You want to finish the point? Okay.
Yeah.
Damn it, I already closed it.
Then you press the button, Gingaman.
I already closed it. Let me go back in.
Definitely were influences, and we see those in the show so far, but it's definitely not as concrete as some people think, and it's gotten really ugly when some people have taken the sense of ownership just too far. People seem to be hyperfixating on these two characters as some symptom of a wider political agenda.
Because it is!
All I have to say is, if this is your bar for politicizing something, then the problem isn't with the adaptation, but with your obsession with looking at this.
All right, yeah, we're done. Yeah, that's
okay, you're an idiot. You're a complete, dunce, naive idiot, because you've been closing your eyes in front of the obvious. That's been going on for years, and that these people have not just admitted to, but proudly yell into the ether. That's not a problem of us. These people are politicizing these things. Putting these characters there is the politicization. It's not us criticizing it that's the politicization. You are out of your mind.
All right, okay. Let's go to stream memes. Here we are. This is from Jord Kells. Thank you. Here we have Saruman. So the Ring of Power has been found. I have seen it. So you have chosen death. Did they combine Lord of the Rings plus Indiana Jones?
I don't know.
I think. I don't know. Yeah.
No, those are all Saruman lines.
I'm just so...
Right.
I'm just...
Here we are. The Rings of Power, cast it into the fire, destroy it.
These are the same people that have been pushing, complaining that what was it? Kingdom Come Deliverance lacks black people, lacks diversity, although it's playing in Hungary in 15th century.
I don't remember the time
if
frame.
you don't,
it's medieval Europe.
Yeah, but if you don't, or that The Witcher is too white because it plays in Poland.
Yeah. Here we go. There she is with a big frickin' beard. Very cool. All right. The mosquito that flew through the ring.
Still looks too female for a female dwarf.
Yep.
That's good. I like that. Suddenly, the mosquito has the vision of the ring wraiths. It's like, raw. Oh, boy.
I mean, that is what happens when you put on the ring.
Everyone making memes about Vigo's toe, occasionally expressing concern about Amazon putting boobs in Lord of the Rings. Everyone watching Amazon employees use our sub for a preemptive PR campaign meant to make all criticism of the Rings of Power look racist. Yeah, that's a bit weird. The Fellowship at 100% strength. The Fellowship at 99% strength.
So true.
Old Sammy Gamgee.
He was the bag carrier, the Frodo carrier. The Lord of the Rings of Power teaser trailer Prime Video. There it is, with all kinds of downvotes.
Yeah. Does not seem like this is at all popular.
19,000, less than half of what I hoped for.
Yeah. Har. What's the
tiny.
name of the new Amazon series? The Lord of the Rings of Power, Your Grace. Who named that? Some half-wit with a stutter?
Oh, Bobby B.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
A little redundant there, but yeah, he's not wrong. The Lord of the Rings of Power.
The Rings. We should just shorten it to the Rings.
Oh boy, me just opening Tumblr. Why would you do that? To check if there are news that Glorfindel will be in the LOTR series. Me seeing LOTR trending. Elrond with short hair. The Vanity Fair pictures and articles. Female dwarves without beards. Oh.
And then the fire is the guy from the promo video saying that Sauron's hot.
Check out this meme I made. Don't criticize this, it will be good. Don't forget to subscribe to Amazon Prime, fellow LOTR fans. Beth Jesus, that's great.
Beth Jesus.
That's what it feels like.
Amazon Prime
You're
Video.
a corporate shill, hello future me. You're just a corporate shill.
Amazon Prime Video uses Vanity Fair to attack critics of The Lord of the Rings of Power as trolls.
He's just trying
So it
to
begins.
play to seem moderate. I think that's the only thing that he's really doing. I don't know if he's a shill or not.
He's acting like one. I don't care about the difference anymore. Whether someone's coping or doing this, he is too much. He wants to be too much of a professional and critical thinker that he can't get away with this.
So
no,
this is a joke, right? First look at Galadriel's mother in the upcoming Lord of the Rings TV show.
this is a Photoshop. Yes.
Yes, I thought so. Okay.
Good old Will Ferrell.
Yeah, I was like, that can't be right.
That almost gotcha. Almost gotcha.
Without popping up, I was like, is that? No. Okay, they did it, yeah.
No, it's fake.
When my friends ask me if
Piece of
there's
shit, though.
any chance that Amazon doesn't F up the Lord of the Rings TV series, there never was much hope, just a fool's hope.
It's so true.
Yes, and that's what I've been calling out. And like with Wheel of Time, for 4 episodes, I had to listen to this. Oh, it might be good, or it just might be doing this and that changes because of that reason. And it's all shit. It's all shit.
Never said it was good. Just
you were making excuses the entire time. You were not at one time acknowledging that it's bullshit.
I said that there were parts that were BS, like the mystery plot nonsense. That was BS.
All right. Here's me when I finally see the new Rings of Power commercial. Tolkien fans looking around. What have you done, Bezos? And what do you mean? It's brand new. Okay.
Bullshit.
Copium. It's one hell of a drug. That is so good.
It's so true.
That is such a good meme.
Ah! My head.
That's great. I love it.
There's some proper dwarf men with beard.
Proper.
Oh, God.
What the fuck?
No, it still looks too female.
That is not right.
Well, the first one, yes, but
All right, I could barely read this. You're meant to be in the hall already. I'm sorry I didn't notice the time of day. You know better than to wander off during an unveiling. Violet, that's her name. How many times do I have to tell you? Oh, that's a girl. Okay, fine. Okay. I'm not going to read all that.
Okay.
Her name is Violet. Fair enough.
Yeah.
And there's the animated version, I believe.
Still 2 female.
Okay. Just woke up, but and lost major things.
So bad it would cause brain damage.
Ouch.
Uh-huh.
All right. Well, that was a partial viewing of Mr. What's his name again? Hello, Future Me?
Oh, future me. Yeah.
He seems like a nice guy. He just is going a bit too hard on that point and missing it.
At the post, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I'm sure he has some
Good.
more funny comments later because it wasn't a bad video. He did a good job editing and making a joke. And I think his sponsor was like 5 seconds long. I was very thankful for that because he made a joke about how you could probably write a better story if you buy this service. Like, yeah, you probably could. Or,
Yeah, but his counter arguments are shit.
well, the one point I didn't like, yeah. So,
This
The
one
one-
especially.
yeah.
whew, all right. Well, that was it.
Could have been worse.
It could have been a lot worse, yeah.
Could have been Maggie.
Which is coming up this week. Yes.
No, it's not Friday.
It's coming up. Getting there. So,
Is there still something left of
There-
that horrible channel?
she
We
pumps
have
them
the
out.
hour-long videos.
Yeah,
No.
the ones that take 3 days to go through.
Yeah. So, no.
So, yeah, thanks, guys. That was always a nice change to talk about Lord of the Rings. Maybe not in the best circumstances. When's the show actually coming out? This year, right?
Yep, September 2nd.
Oh, that's a
and it
long,
will be bad.
long ways away. Hopefully, we'll get a whole bunch more trailers and behind-the-scenes
No.
stuff.
No, just die.
No, I want to see it.
It
Let's
would be
see.
better if it was canceled. It would
What's
be
that?
way
Renewed for a 3rd season before it even came out?
Possibly, yeah.
It's all money
No.
laundering. It's all
Yeah.
money laundering.
It has to be. There's no other logical explanation.
All right.
You can't spend 20 million per episode or whatever they're spending and then have it look like ass.
Well, I would like to see some more trailers. I do like how the level of quality of the trailers is high. Maybe not the content for lore reasons, but I would like to see a good adaptation. That's
Yeah, it's not gonna be one. You just want to get more trailers so that you can make videos about them.
maybe. I mean, I would like to just view them for my own personal reasons, but creatively maybe too. I don't know. It's not my area of love. Like, I do appreciate Tolkien. I know his impact on storytelling and fantasy for sure has been gigantic. No one's going to forget
Yes.
that. And the lore is something to respect. And that's all I want is just a respectful adaptation. I don't care how weird it is, how they could have black elves, they could have black dwarves. Just explain it. Just give me a reason to wrap my brain around going, okay, that's believable within this world. That might take 10 minutes to explain and multiple episodes, but that's the hole you dug yourself into. So anyway, thank you guys. That was fun. Thanks, Dunn, for popping in, talking about Lord of the Rings. I know it's your favorite, so always nice to have you around.
Oh, actually, First Law is my favorite, but close enough.
Really? Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
First Law is better than Lord of the Rings.
Ooh. See, now I'm going to
Take
want to check that out.
It's a book series, it's a book series that's about 9 books long, but you don't have to read them all. Like, each trilogy has its own, beginning, middle, and end.
Cool. Nice touch. Okay. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. I know we started an hour late, but we were confused on what exactly we're going to cover, and then Dunn came in like, all right, we're going to do this one. So that's always great. So thank you so much for tuning in. We'll talk to you real soon. Have yourself a great evening. Good night. Bye-bye.
Bye. Have a